You do get a kick,
Yeah,
you do,
course.
don't you?
Yeah, of course. You know, you walk down the streets and then there's kids like that, little kids, and you're like, yeah, it's nice. It is really nice.
You're attracting attention not only from the back pages of the newspapers, but the front pages and the middle pages.
When talking about footballers, few names ignite as much debate as David Beckham. The name David Beckham invokes strong emotional reactions in people. He's either one of your childhood heroes that you used to pretend to be on the playground, or he's an overhyped pretty boy who couldn't beat a man and had no left foot. But recently, a statement from one of football's most outspoken, cantankerous old has reignited the Beckham debate.
I wouldn't say he was a world-class football player.
Wait, what? Never world-class? Really, Graham?
When Beckham came, was like, he get all the attention now. That was good, and as a person, he's amazing. The one who has negative things to say about him is either jealous or hating.
David Beckham. The name alone is enough to divide opinion. But why? What is it about this man that creates such polarising views? The difficulty with Beckham is that his role doesn't really exist in the modern game. Today's wingers are more like forwards, whereas traditional wingers operated in more of a box-to-box fashion. So comparing Beckham's goal output to someone like Salah is going to make him seem much worse in comparison. To truly understand Beckham's ability during his day, you need to know this. There was a time when the ability to cross a ball was just as important as scoring goals for wingers. And nobody, I mean nobody, could cross a ball like Beckham.
If you're going to compare anyone in today's game, I'd go De Bruyne. I would say is the closest thing to Becks.
Before I remind you just how good Beckham was, let me address the cold hard facts. The numbers that Souness and other critics seem to conveniently forget. 6 Premier League titles, 1 Champions League trophy, 2 FA Cups, 1 La Liga title, 115 caps for England, 10 Ballon d'Or nominations, the most of any English player ever, 4 PFA Team of the Year inclusions, and a Premier League Hall of Fame inductee. But wait, there's more. During his time in the Premier League, Beckham assisted more goals than anyone else. 80 assists. That's more than Bergkamp and Giggs during that time. And he didn't just create goals, he scored them. During his time in the Premier League, he registered the most goals and assists of any non-forward. And impressively, when you include forwards, he was 4th behind Alan Shearer, Dennis Bergkamp, and United teammate Dwight York. His goals were often spectacular too. 55% of his goals came from outside the box. The closest to him of any other player who scored 50 or more Premier League goals, Christian Eriksen, with 43%. Beckham, of course, wasn't just about the spectacular. He was consistently brilliant. He assisted 10 or more Premier League goals in 4 consecutive seasons between 97-98 and 2000-2001. The first player ever to do so. This has been matched only once, by Christian Eriksen, funnily enough, between 2015-2016 and 2018-2019 at Spurs. Now, with those established facts, let's address Souness' argument directly. He claims,
World class for me is someone who could go anywhere and get in anyone's team.
well, Graham, funny you should say that, because in 2003, Beckham left United, one of the top 4 teams in the world, and he joined, Real Madrid. You know, that little club in Spain? The one who were building a team of Galacticos. Oh, and by the way, the team who already had Luis Figo playing in Beckham's position. But I guess Madrid just couldn't resist signing a player who wasn't world-class, right? By Souness' own definition, Beckham was world-class. The truth is, between 1998 and 2005, Beckham was consistently one of the top 15 players in the world. Don't take my word for it, just take a look at the numbers. Firstly, around this time period, he was nominated for the Ballon d'Or 10 times in 11 seasons. If that's not proof, I don't know what is. But also during the Premier League era, 3 of the top 4 assist totals registered by a United player across all competitions were set by Beckham. And across his time at United, he averaged just over a goal contribution every other game in all competitions. At Real Madrid, just under. And now that we've talked about Beckham's career achievements and looked at the numbers, we need to talk about the elephant in the room. And the reason, I think, why this whole debate exists. We've spoken about Beckham's on-field brilliance there, but the factor that complicated his legacy was off the field. It's an aspect of his career that often overshadowed his footballing prowess, and it explains why whoppers like Souness seem to struggle to call him world-class.
And some players obviously in their first squad or second or third squad, and he might not have been there, or it's first time seeing him at close-up like this, and they're going, I didn't know he was this good. That's the reaction you were getting from most players. Or you get players that are there going to the new guys, told ya.
He was a superstar off the pitch. David Beckham was never just a footballer. He was a global icon, a fashion trendsetter, a model, and a celebrity in his own right. His good looks, flash haircuts, and high-profile marriage to a Spice Girl catapulted him into a realm of fame that few footballers had ever experienced or have ever experienced since. And this level of stardom came with a price. It overshadowed his footballing abilities in the public eye. Many began to view him more as a celebrity who happened to play football, rather than a world-class footballer who happened to be a celebrity. The media frenzy around his personal life often drowned out discussions of his on-field performances. Fashion spreads and gossip columns took precedence over match reports and analysis, and that blurring of the lines between athlete and celebrity led many to underestimate Beckham's true value on the pitch. It's a classic case of style over substance, except in Beckham's case, he had an abundance of both. Behind the fashion shoots and endorsement deals was a footballer of exceptional skill and incredible influence. Beckham's ability to balance his off-field persona with his on-field performance was, in itself, a remarkable achievement. Now let's get back to what was important though with Beckham. And let's talk about what kind of player he was, and compare him to his contemporaries and even some modern-day superstars. Because he personified basically everything that was good about the United teams he played in. Absolutely class with the ball, and a proper without it. We went over earlier why it's hard to compare Beckham to modern-day wingers, but we can compare him to a current Premier League superstar that you might be surprised by. Analysis ID did some excellent work, and they looked at how Beckham compares against his contemporaries from his time in the Premier League and some players from the modern game. Goal and assist data was taken from each player's best season, along with the seasons before and after, to form a 3-season average. The rationale behind this was that it would give some view of consistency, or at least avoid overrating any one-season wonders, and all of that was put onto a graph. How does Beckham score? He got 0.78 goals or assists per 90 minutes. And for context, that's better than Kevin De Bruyne's 0.71. You know, the guy many call the most creative midfielder the Premier League has ever had. That De Bruyne comparison is interesting though, in terms of his position, and we'll come back to it. But let's talk about Beckham as a player now. He was way more than just numbers. He was a complete package. His passing, sublime. The ability to play line-breaking passes onto strikers' feet with real pace on the ball was outstanding. His vision, top tier. He could spot passes others couldn't even dream of. His crossing, legendary. His ability to whip pinpoint crosses into the box was, and still is, second to none.
But you are someone to move, and for the ball to be put on their toe, for them not to break stride, Bex was your man.
Dribbling? He was quick over the first few yards and was very agile, which allowed him to skip by a man or evade a tackle. Set pieces? Do we really need to bother going there?
He actually was that good at scoring, at taking free kicks in training and doing shooting and that some players wouldn't take part because they were embarrassed.
Work rate? Phenomenal. His fitness levels were legendary at United. He never seemed to tire during matches and was known for completing the bleep test. Nobody does that and isn't an elite athlete. Everything suggests he'd be perfect in a modern high-pressing system. And let's not forget his mental attributes. Beckham's determination and ability to lead by example was second to none. He captained England 59 times, showed his influence both on and off the pitch. And remember that people were hanging up effigies and burning them after the World Cup in '98, and he came back to United and won the treble that season. Just think about how much of an achievement that is. Now, as we've been looking at Beckham's skills and achievements, you might have been wondering, how would he fare in today's game? It's a question that naturally arises when we consider any player from a previous era, and it's particularly pertinent for Beckham for one massive reason. His position doesn't really exist in modern day football. This often leads people to say that he'd be an attacking right back in today's game, but I don't think that's the case. If Beckham were to play in the modern game, he'd play in central midfield. He did play there at times during his career, particularly at Madrid, where he was sometimes used as a bit of a deep line orchestrator like Pirlo. But I don't think he'd do that. In the modern era, Beckham would operate in a similar role to that of De Bruyne, spraying the ball across the pitch, cutting open defences with balls in behind, and occupying the right half space before whipping first-time crosses into the box from deep. When talking about Beckham, as I mentioned earlier, there's one season that stands out above all others. It's a season that encapsulates everything that made him great, and of course I'm talking about the treble-winning season of '99. Understanding Beckham's role in this campaign is crucial to appreciating his true value as a player that so many, including Souness, seem to have forgotten. And perhaps the most understandable reason his greatness is overlooked today also comes from that season. That was when Beckham was at his peak. He was the best player in the world at that point, in my opinion. He was at the heart of everything good United did, but still, even then, he was often overshadowed by a teammate. Let me break it down with some examples for you. The FA Cup semi-final replay against Arsenal. Everyone remembers that goal from Giggs. Beckham scored a worldie in the first half and put United 1-0 up. The final day of the league against Spurs, Andy Cole's lob to win the title is iconic. But who made it 1-1 with another sensational strike? Beckham. And it wasn't just domestically. The Champions League quarter-final versus Inter at home, Dwight Yorke scored 2 headers in a 2-0 win. Beckham put the ball on the plate for him twice with 2 fantastic crosses. The semi-final against Juve. Everyone remembers Keane's legendary performance. Beckham's was right up there with it. And yes, you guessed it, another assist as he crossed the ball in for Keane's fantastic header. Then we come to Munich at the Camp Nou, the Champions League final. Everyone on the pitch for United looked terrible, apart from Beckham, who played the majority of the game out of position in central midfield with Paul Scholes suspended and Roy Keane suspended. Solskjaer may have put the ball in the German's net, but it was Beckham who whipped it into the box. The truth is, Beckham was robbed of the Ballon d'Or in '99, and to make it worse, Rivaldo, who won it, didn't even get out of the Champions League group stage. So where does this all leave us? Was Beckham world class? Yes, is the short answer, and the long answer is absolutely yes. But for whatever reason, he's undoubtedly underappreciated. It might be the case that even United fans don't quite give him the credit and adulation he deserves.
I hear, songs about Eric Cantona and Brian Robson and Roy Keane from Manchester United fans, but I very rarely hear there's only one David Beckham. That was really the only chant that I ever wanted to hear, and I'd like to hear it again if any United fans are watching, please.
The truth about Beckham? He wasn't just a world-class player, but perhaps one of the most underappreciated legends of football. A player who personified everything that was good about the United teams he played in, and there wasn't a player in the world United fans would have swapped him for on the right-hand side, and yet somehow he's still fighting for the recognition he deserves, and even from United fans.
I'm still a United fan. So, yeah, just every now and again, there's only one David Beckham.
So the next time someone tries to tell you Beckham was overrated, just remember, the trophies, they prove his worth. The moments of magic, they defined an era. And the quality and the X factor that made him a star would make him a star now as well. He really was one of the best ever and deserves far more praise than he gets.